welcome to our digital strategy video series in partnership with digital experts Project and security and identity management providers OKTA. In each video, we'll be discussing a different element of digital strategy, from user research to building a strategy roadmap. A digital strategy is important to charities, allowing them to select the digital tools and skills they need to improve performance and processes, ultimately achieving more impact. A digital strategy specifies the direction your charity wants to take, using digital to complement your overall visions for the future. In our first video, we were joined by Janine Woodward-Grant, formerly Deputy CEO at the Baines Carer Centre, to discuss the importance of user research when developing your digital strategy. Hi, Janine. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Lovely and welcome. If you can tell us a bit about yourself and your former role at the Baines Carer Centre.
Yeah, so my name's Janine Woodward-Grant. I was Deputy CEO at the Carer Centre for 10 years. I've just left that role to move on to a new role. But for the last 4 years of that role, it's been a brilliant 10 years. And the last 4 years was really focused on digital transformation at the Carer Centre. And how we could use digital essentially to further our goals.
Absolutely. And obviously so you said it started about 4 years ago. And what were your aims in this strategy?
Yeah, so we were at a point where we had a new CEO who'd come in. Mm-hmm. And he had a vision for the organisation that, so we work with unpaid carers, so that's anyone who's looking after a loved one from the age of 5 up. And there are often many more carers in the UK than people imagine. Sort of one in 7, I think, are actually in a caring role. And in Bath and North East Somerset, there are around 20,000 unpaid carers. We knew at the Carer Centre that we were supporting around 4,000 to 5,000 of those, but that was a significant number that we weren't serving. Mm-hmm. And for the CEO, that wasn't okay. We needed to be serving more. We needed to be reaching more, and we needed to be serving those who we were in contact with as effectively as we could, partly in order that we could reach more. Mm-hmm. And so he felt that there were 2 things that we needed to look at in our journey, because obviously that's against a backdrop of kind of health and social care under significant financial pressures. So it's not like there was going to be significant more money coming in from places. Even before the pandemic, sort of trust and foundation fundraising flatlining. So not really kind of, there wasn't space there. We couldn't just grow and stay as we were. We had to fundamentally change in order to meet and reach these people. So he felt we needed to look 2 ways. We needed to look at how we could engage more with the community around carers in order to enable them to support unpaid carers. And how could we harness the power of digital in order to achieve those goals of reaching more carers and reaching them more effectively? So they had a really solid journey through our organisation, and we had impact. We were actually achieving our goals with those unpaid carers.
Yeah, absolutely. And how important was user research for the successful development and implementation of your digital strategy?
I mean, I hadn't done user research before I started this role at all. And we were, I always remember back to situations where we would, have money from a funder, which was for a thing, and we'd try and do the thing and it wouldn't work. Rather than going out to ask users, we'd be like, well, we can't be telling them properly. We can't be reaching them in the right way. It must be us. This must work. And that's been completely flipped on its head for me by user research. And we were introduced to it through we worked with a digital consultant called the Project. So I should also say we were really, really lucky that we got some funding from the National Lottery in order to invest kind of in our digital strategy in the direction that we wanted to go in. And as part of that, we came into contact with the Project, and they gave us like some really brilliant kind of like advice and consultancy just to kind of steer us in the right direction. And as part of that, we were opened up to kind of the idea of the user-informed approach. And as part of that, you have to do user research. And so we spent a long time kind of at the start of our project doing user research to understand, how are carers feeling? What do carers want? What do carers need? but also what were the community feeling? What did they think? Kind of, did they want to help carers? Because if they don't want to help carers, then this whole project is kind of semi-dead. So that was a fundamental part, like how can we get them to play a bigger role? And it was just so interesting. And I just think some of it confirmed what we had an inkling of, essentially. Like some of it was like, yeah, we knew that, and now we definitely know that because we've been told that. And some of it was just completely different. So we, for example, in a lot of research, so a lot of carers come into contact with the carer centre because they're referred by a professional. And we don't get as many referrals from professionals as you might think we would. I think often because carers are almost a second thought, because their focus is on kind of the person who requires the care. And previously we'd taken a bit of a stick bashing approach to professionals, like, why aren't you referring more? You need to be referring carers to the carer centre. Why are you not doing this? What is wrong with you? Why can you not see how important this is? Like, and then when we actually started talking to professionals, yes, what we heard was what we already know, that they're very busy. But what we also heard was they really want to help carers. They just don't know how. And they really want to help carers, but genuinely, the amount of time to refer the 10 carers they see in a day is more than the time that they have in their busy kind of life. And it made us so much more empathic to our user groups, to really hear from them how they were feeling and what they needed and what they were going through. And it flipped the way that we approached almost everything. And it was just, I think everyone at the care centre is now just falling in love with user research. Now every time we do, like, well, have we done any research? Can we do this? Like, can we get some interviews in? And all the way through, we've done that. So when we did our we did a big website overhaul, and at the start of that and in the middle of that and at the end of that, we had users involved, either kind of in the design in workshops that we did, or at the end when we were kind of we had a prototype that we tested and we did some user research with people on that. And then at the end, once it was kind of, we felt confident with the prototype, we launched. We then did some user research at the launch stage as well. And it's just, I just don't know how you would do it now without.
Absolutely. No, this is great. Thank you very much for sharing this. And what do you think has been the biggest lesson you've learned when developing your digital strategy, particularly around user research? Well, there's been so many learnings, but what would be the biggest one, do you think?
I think it's how much we make assumptions.
Yeah.
And how much user research helps you to confirm or deny your assumptions, and how you have to go into everything quite, like, a lot more neutrally, with a lot more curiosity,
open-minded,
than maybe we would have done before. I think that was massive for me. And like, sometimes we've done user research and gone, yeah, well, that was what we thought. That's great, we've learned that. And other times we've come out and gone, oh my gosh, we did a whole piece of user research around our emergency planning tool, which we're actually about to kind of launch in a few weeks. And we did some research, we made some changes, we did more research, and we just realized that nobody understood what the tool did, or what the tool was for. And we had just made the assumption that because that's what we called it, because it's been a service we've offered for years, because people knew they were coming in to test an emergency planning tool, that they knew what that meant. None of them knew what it meant. And that was so eye-opening.
Yes.
We had to completely check. It was the tool that needed to change. But it was also a lot of the comms around the tool that was that was contributing to the fact that people weren't using it. And when people were using it, they were getting confused by.
They didn't quite know.
If we hadn't done that user research, we'd have gone off in completely the wrong direction.
And wasted resources, money and time in a tool that would, that wasn't necessarily the best. But that's a big learning, and I'm really glad that you managed to make the best of user research and enjoyed the process doing that as well. That's really good. So what, as we're wrapping up, what advice would you give other organizations looking to use user research to develop their digital strategy?
I guess I'd say it's it doesn't have to be big, and it doesn't have to be a big project which you bring a consultant in for. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to use expensive tools. It can be done really quite cheaply and really quite easily. You just have to understand what you're trying to get out of it. And also it's not just about surveys. I think there's so much to be said for having 6 quality interviews for half an hour to 45 minutes with a user group, asking unbiased questions where you're literally saying, and what do you think? And I think so we did work for some of our user research. We worked with a brilliant consultant. We worked with Digital Wonder Lab, who designed our website. Cannot speak highly enough of them. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that on a podcast, but they're brilliant. And they have a kind of user experience expert, and she did some of our interviews, and I was just gobsmacked at what she managed to learn simply by using the phrase, what do you think?
In your opinion, what do you think? Yeah.
So right, because often they'd ask a question like, oh, am I supposed to click here? And I think often when you're kind of or you're doing user research or you're testing, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's the button that you press. Whereas her approach was, well, what do you think? What do you think would happen when you click there? Where would you expect to go?
What would you expect? Yes. So more open.
So much. So I'd say it doesn't, asking the right questions, very, very open questions, not leading people at all. A small number of interviews can really give you an understanding of themes and kind of what's happening for your user group. And surveys are great. I'm not going to diss a survey. I think they do give you a lot, but I think they need to be done alongside more in-depth user research.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, absolutely. This is great to hear. Thank you very much for your time, Janine, and very inspiring too. And I also guess that user research helped you get closer to some of your beneficiaries as well, and get to know them more. As more than just service users, as real stakeholders of your organization.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. But great. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to all of you for watching this video. Make sure to look out for more videos in this series where we'll be uncovering more about digital strategy and how charities can make it work for them. We'll link them below. Thank you for watching.